Hello, 8th grade. We are back for one more section today. This Friday, February 26th. But by the time you'll be watching this, it'll be March. But this is the last one I'm doing today. I'll do the rest next week sometime. If I get to them, like I said on the Section 2 video, I'm not sure when we'll be able to squeeze in everything and squeeze in the test, but I'll be working on that. Maybe by the time I post this, I might have a schedule attached to it. So by 1917, Allies desperately needed the help of the soldiers. Trench warfare. The thing with advancements in warfare is defensive advancements like machine guns, landmines, advance much faster than offensive advancements. You know, you can have these several ton machine guns, and they're very good for defending what you have. They're not very useful for attacking things that you don't. If you think about, trying to load up a 20-ton machine gun and strap it onto something and go attack somebody else with it, not very useful. Same for a landmine. You can't just throw them down at somebody running at in front of their feet. They're there to defend what you already have. And so basically what you have is each side digging fortified trenches across from each other and having incredible amounts of weaponry in the space between and in their trenches, and they would move back and forth 5, 10, even 20 miles each way, but that's not enough. And so, if you're going to climb out of your trench and attack across the other way, and they've got landmines set up before you get to their trench, and they've got a row of machine guns, you're not going to be very successful. But the problem is each side tries that towards the other, and people are dying by, the thousands. And so we've gone this time months, if not years at this point, by only moving 6 or 7 miles in either direction. And so nothing's really getting accomplished other than a huge death toll. And so German submarines are taking a toll on Allied shipping. We talked about in the last section that they're Unterseeboots. They're not good at giving short names to anything. Their name for their submarine is literally underwater boat, Unterseeboot. But once the Americans join the war, we make an immediate difference. We start sending. We're not really ready to get boots on the ground yet. We're still in training, but we do start sending convoys with our. We basically sweep in front of the ships for submarines, and that allows supplies and some men to get in and out, and so that makes a huge advantage. And so we also need more troops because, as I mentioned last time, in the November of 1917, there's a second Russian Revolution and the communists take over. And they are not into the war effort. They're like, we're going to worry about getting our communist state set up, and they deuce out. And so now you've got a huge loss, a huge vacuum of troops, men, money, and allies being pulled out when Russia leaves. And so America is really needed to step in and fill that void. And so this really accelerates the timetable. It's gone from things are at a stalemate in these trenches and nothing's getting done to, oh crap, if the Americans aren't here soon, we've got problems because Russia's gone. And so you had Russia fighting on one front and then the French and English fighting on the other front. Well, now all the troops from Russia are going to be able to run down to move down to that other front and really focus their attack on one area, and that's a big problem. And so in March 1918, like I said, they launch a massive attack on the Western Front. Okay, so all the troops that were in the east, okay, I'm trying to point on your screen which way would be east on a map, but in reality, east is behind me. So they all move west. And so it looks like Germany is going to be able to win the war. But then Americans, John J. Pershing was named Supreme Commander of what's called the AEF, American Expeditionary Force. When he showed up in Paris, he was treated basically like the Beatles showing up in America in the 60s. He was, they thought he was basically a rock star, although rock and roll had been, you know what I mean. And so within, 10 months or so, our expeditionary forces ready to fight, and we made an immediate difference, as you could imagine. American soldiers are called Doughboys because the buttons on their uniforms resembled dough dumplings that were a popular food. And we helped turn back the Germans near the Marne River, which is in Paris or by Paris. So basically, they were about to overrun the French capital, which is a big sign that you're about to lose the war if your capital gets overrun. And so for the next 3 weeks, Americans fought their way through heavily armed forest, the Argonne Forest, 24/7. And now we begin an offensive of their own. Once we stop them and they start moving backwards, we go on the attack. The Battle of the Argonne Forest lasted nearly 7 weeks, huge death toll. But by November, we had broken through their lines and we had pushed the Germans back into Germany, which is, like I said, if they are contained within Germany, that's a good sign that you're winning the war because they're not able to push their front forward. While fighting continued along the Western Front, Germany's allies, meaning the Ottoman Empire, as we know it, Turkey, or Austro-Hungarian Empire, as we know it now, Austria and Hungary, excuse me, because we broke them up after this. But they realized the writing's on the wall. We're not winning this war, and so they began to pull out and organize their own, get their ducks in a row for surrender and try to move forward with their the future of their own countries. Military leaders in Germany began to realize the same thing. And so on October 4th, 1918, the German government asked for an armistice, which we've talked about before. Basically, an armistice is a ceasefire, stop shooting while we work on the permanent treaty. Okay. Wilson agreed, but only if Germany got out of Belgium and France. And while they were thinking about it, they had a revolution of their own. And the new people were like, yeah, we'll do whatever. We just want to get on with our business. And so famously, the armistice began at 11 o'clock on November 11th. So 11/11 at 11, 1918, which, kind of ruins the whole 11 thing. But anyway, Germany agreed to withdraw all land forces west of the Rhine River, leave the Baltic Sea, and surrender most of their equipment. The Treaty of Versailles, which we'll talk about in a little bit, really causes problems down the road, leads to a guy named Hitler, who was bad. And comes around in World War II. And basically the fact that we tore down their country to parts really led to a lot of resentment, which led to the conditions that led to Hitler being able to take power, which we'll get into in a couple chapters. It's going to be chapter 12. So that's all for today. Stay safe, wear your mask around, wash your hands and all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.